So I'd like to start off tonight's show with a question. What do you do when your president is a total grifter? I just thought I'd ask, for a friend. So this happened over the weekend. Trump dropped his own shit coin, or meme coin, 2 days before the inauguration. And if this is any indication of what life is going to be like under another 4 years of Trump, God help us. But I also kind of like to hammer on this point, this biblical concept that we kind of get the leadership that we deserve. And if people are dumb enough to buy into Trump's little Ponzi scheme, they probably deserve to get financially wrecked. So let's just dive right into it. This article was published on January 20th. Trump coin surges Donald Trump's wealth. Makes incoming U.S. president one of the richest men in the world. And there's the flashy, thumbnail for this meme coin. And it goes on to say, the newly launched Trump family crypto tokens have led to a significant surge in the wealth of incoming U.S. President Donald J. Trump, making him one of the most richest people in the world, according to New York Times report. Trump had a net worth of $6.7 billion before the crypto coins started trading. Most of his wealth came from Trump Media and Technology Group. According to CoinGecko, on paper, the Trump tokens in the market had a total value of nearly $13 billion. And yes, that's right. The Trump coin took a little bit of a hit when, I think it was within a 24-hour period, his own wife released her own shitcoin. And from the looks of it, a bunch of people dumped their Trump to ride that Melania wave, I guess. But before that happened, the Trump coin was the 19th most valuable form of crypto in the world. That's right, from the guy who just a few years ago, when he was asked about his thoughts on Bitcoin, said kind of sounded like a scam.
The opening bell for Wall Street is about to ring. I'll ask you one last question. You don't like Bitcoin? You wouldn't invest in Bitcoin?
Bitcoin, it just seems like a scam. I was surprised. With us it was at 6,000 and much lower. I don't like it because it's another currency competing against the dollar. Essentially, it's a currency competing against the dollar. I want the dollar to be the currency of the world. That's what I've always said.
Well, we all know who's scamming now, don't we, Trump? I guess Trump finally saw the light. Or at least a shit ton of dollar signs. And then it goes on, for who owns the coins, Trump affiliates appear to control 800 million tokens, besides the 200 million already released. And this can unlock potential for as much as 51 billion. This meme coin is a Solana-based cryptocurrency that made a stellar debut on the crypto market, rocketing to over 300% in the first day, crossing the market capitalization of 600 billion. And why, we need to ask the question, right? Why was Trump meme coin launched? According to the official website, the Trump meme coin marks the celebration of Trump's White House comeback as the leader eyes the inauguration ceremony on January 20th. The website also mentioned that the Trump meme coins aim to symbolize an expression of support for the upcoming Trump administration. And if you go to the official website here, the only official Trump meme, there's a very stylized, a lot more fit, younger, handsomer Donald Trump, and even enlarged his hands. He had that small man or small hand complex there for a little while. Remember that? So they made his fist look real big and manly. And if you scroll down, it says, Trump the Crypto President. A community celebrating courage and strength. Yeah, what was the party slogan in Orwell's 1984? War is peace, freedom is slavery, and ignorance is strength. Don't question the status quo. Trust in the plan, right? Trump is fighting against the deep state. He's not part of the New World Order. He's not popularizing the cashless society, digital gulag, beast tech, selling the future generations into total financial enslavement. If you want a picture of the fintech or financial tech future, Picture a digital boot stomping on a human face forever. But it's just a silly little meme coin, right? And again, here we go with the myth, right? The myth of the hero, the heroic Donald Trump. Trump are now freely tradable on the blockchain. On July 13th, 2024, President Trump faced death and came up fighting. With his fist in the air and the iconic battle cry, "Fight, fight, fight." Trump showed the world what a leader is made of. His strength and courage ignited a movement, becoming the most memorable meme of the century. But yeah, Trump has never really been known for his humility, right? If you read the terms and conditions here, and again, this was like literally slapped together a week prior to the launching of this coin, last modified January 16th. And, it's a long string of legalese here to try to cover Trump's ass, right? I don't even intend to read any of that. But if we scroll down here, it gives us a pretty good indication of the allocation of the Trump meme coin. So the kind of funny part here is this kind of the way they cut up this pie chart here. They make it look like it's actually a lot less centralized than it actually is, because of course we know the CIC Digital is a Trump company, and so when it says here 36% of the supply, 360 million of the potentially 1 billion cards or memes to be released on the Solana cryptocurrency platform. 36% is creators in CIC Digital number 1, 18% is creators in CIC Digital number 2, another 18% is creators in CIC Digital number 3. And the actual liquidity is 10% right here. And the actual public distribution is 10% right here. And another 4% up here is creators in CIC Digital number 4. Another 2% is creators in CIC Digital number 5. And another 2% is creators in CIC Digital number 6. And so in reality, you take all of those together and you have, what should look like an obvious monopoly, about 80% of the supply owned by Donald J. Trump and his, a couple of crypto cronies. And it says as much down here. Fight LLC collectively own 80% of the Trump cards, subject to a 3-year unlocking schedule. But yeah, so I guess the 3-year mark is when Trump and his affiliates are going to start dumping all over those little MAGAs out there who think it's a great idea to dump their life savings into Trump's big old fat Ponzi scheme. At least it'll be a golden age for Trump, right? And what a time to be alive. And according to this article from Reuters, January 20th, Trump's new meme coin soars on his first day in office, lifts other tokens. And you can see the market value over time. As of the 20th, you can see the progress over time. Billions and billions of dollars into Trump's coffers. President Donald Trump's new crypto token soared to more than $10 billion in market value on Monday, while enthusiasm over his crypto-friendly administration helped briefly lift Bitcoin to a new record. Launched Friday night, Trump's so-called meme coin surged from less than $10 on Saturday morning to as high as $74 before giving up some of its gains on Monday. According to this article, last check was around $33. I think it's at about $10 more now per coin. World Liberty Financial, a separate Trump-linked crypto project, also announced on Monday that it had completed an initial token sale, raising $300 million, and would look to issue additional tokens. The expansion of Trump's crypto interests comes as his administration is widely accepted to usher in a, quote, golden age of cryptocurrencies. There's that language again. Golden age. In stark contrast to the regulatory scrutiny the industry experienced under former President Joe Biden. Not really. When under the Biden administration, we still had Gary Gensler as head of the SEC, a blockchain professor. And as many people complain about Gary Gensler, he really didn't do a whole lot to clamp down on crypto. But that's, again, that fake-controlled opposition. Optics. It's all optics. Bitcoin, the world's largest cryptocurrency, hit a new record of $109,000 on Inauguration Day as Trump was sworn in as the 47th U.S. president. And again, this article stresses that 80% of Trump Coin's tokens are owned by CIC Digital, an affiliate of Trump's business, and another entity called Fight, according to its website. So, again, another Trump company, owning 80% of the supply. The launch of World Liberty Financial just 2 months before November's U.S. election caused concern over ethics and conflicts of interest. You think? The launch of Trump's meme coin on Friday night also raised red flags, even among those in the cryptocurrency industry. Several key figures in Trump's administration and his circles have ties to the crypto industry, like his new head of the SEC, you can't make this up, a crypto lobbyist. While it's tempting to dismiss this as just another Trump spectacle, right? This is just, it's just Trump being Trump, right? Making himself a fortune, abusing his office as the president, because that's just, the type of thing that Trump does, right? It's always Trump. What's best for Trump? Yeah, it should make every American sick to their stomach to see the highest office in the land being just used like this. It's disgusting. But in any case, I'll get into more detail about that later. The launch of the official Trump token opens up a Pandora's box of ethical and regulatory questions, said Justin D. Anathan, an independent crypto analyst based in Hong Kong. The Trump Organization said this month the president would hand daily management of his multi-billion-dollar real estate, hotel, golf, media, and licensing portfolio to his children when he entered the White House. Trump's net worth is estimated by Forbes at $6.7 billion, although that does not include his crypto ventures, which now, if he owns 80% of the supply, and this is the Coinbase trading site, and it was listed about a day after its launch, which was pretty fast to get a shitcoin posted on quote-unquote reputable cryptocurrency trading site like Coinbase. So right now they're saying the market cap is right around $8.6 billion, but that's not the full value behind Trump's coin. That's just the coins in public circulation. So if you count up the fully diluted value, as they call it, all of those coins owned by Trump's many shell corporations, all the coins in Trump's possession, as well as those in circulation, at its peak after launch, Trump was made a filthy rich $70 billion, completely out of thin air, like magical pixie dust or something. But this whole thing couldn't exactly be legal, right? So if I go over here to Cornell Law School, what does it say? Basic obligation of public service. Public service is a public trust. Each employee has a responsibility to the United States government and its citizens to place loyalty to the Constitution, laws, and ethical principles above private gain, to ensure that every citizen can have complete confidence in the integrity of the federal government. Each employee must respect and adhere to the principles of ethical conduct set forth in this section, as well as the implementing standards contained in this part and in supplemental agency regulations. So it goes through the general principles, and you can see right down here. Number 7, employees shall not use public office for private gain. And if I go over to this other link on the Cornell Law School, in what looks like subsection 702 here, use of public office for private gain. An employee may not use their public office for their own private gain, for the endorsement of any product, service, or enterprise, or for the private gain of friends, relatives, millennia, right? Or persons with whom the employee is affiliated in a non-governmental capacity, including nonprofit organizations of which the employee is an officer or member, and persons with whom the employee has or seeks employment or business relations. Anyway, it goes through all the details. So I guess technically it's illegal for federal employees to turn their office into a business, which makes them absurdly wealthy. Oh, but don't worry about all those legalities. If you look at the very, very, very small print here on the official website, right here at the very bottom, GetTrumpMemes.com is not political and has nothing to do with any political campaign or any political office or government agency. But how exactly you separate somebody like Donald Trump from politics at this point, I don't know. You tell me. And even if there is some legal loophole out there that does make this awful behavior somehow lawful, just because something is technically legal doesn't mean you should actually do it, right? I mean, have some effing decency, man. I just guess I don't really feel very proud to be an American these days. Yeah, I don't know about you, but this whole episode just kind of saps me of any remnant of patriotism I still have left in our country. And it's just another example of how the way our government is ran is just a sick joke on we the people. And the people in high offices really don't give a damn for our well-being, do they? They're all out for themselves. And of course all these political prostitutes up there in the whorehouse of Washington, D.C. are all that much more easy to manipulate and control when they don't have any principle to stand on. And they're only motivated by one thing: private gain. And as this article states, and this was back in January 19th, Donald Trump, crypto billionaire. There it shows Trump's holdings as of January 19th. Like I said, at its peak, the Trump coin reached 70 billion, fully diluted value. The Trump meme coin, a financial asset that didn't exist on Friday afternoon, now accounts for 89% of Donald Trump's net worth. Why it matters: the coin, technically a token that's issued on the Solana blockchain, has massively enriched Trump personally, enabling a mechanism for the crypto industry to funnel cash to him and create a volatile financial asset that allows anyone in the world to financially speculate on Trump's political fortunes. If I skip down, flashback, during the first Trump administration, there were worries that individuals were able to enrich the president by staying at his hotel in Washington. Since then, Trump has listed a meme coin where he controls more than 50%, they say. It's actually like 80% of the shares. And now he has a meme coin that's even less tethered to reality. Both of them represent a much more direct way of funneling money to Trump than staying at his hotel did. The emulance clause of the Constitution, written in 1787, hardly envisioned a world where a president could conjure billions of dollars of wealth out of nowhere just by endorsing a meme. So yeah, I just wanted to go and read for myself that emulance clause of our Constitution. Emulance clause, also called the Foreign Emulance Clause, provisions, Article 1, Section 9, Paragraph 8, generally prohibits federal office holders from receiving any gift, payment, or anything of value from foreign state or its rulers, officers, or representatives. That was a good little study, right? Gotta stay sharp on this stuff these days, apparently, because they sure like to shift around and redefine things, don't they? In the present day, it's impossible to track who's going to be buying the coin over the next 3 years, and thereby directing money directly to Trump. Given the Supreme Court's expansive view on presidential immunity, there's a good chance that any such action will be deemed lawful. Yeah, you want an immune president, and a president is immune from any future prosecution? You got one. And that's what you get. Ultimate power corrupts ultimately, doesn't it? And even if you still trust Trump, do you really want this kind of a precedent being set for anyone else who comes along and decides to be president? Even a Democrat? I mean, I thought we've had enough of politicians enriching themselves from political offices. But I guess when it comes to Trump, all that outrage just goes out the window. But I actually wanted to dive in a little deeper into this topic and explore some of the darker undercurrents of why is cryptocurrency being shoved down our throats so much lately? You know, a topic that I've touched on in previous podcasts is how crypto is disruptive in that it encourages people to invest into a fake digital economy when they could be putting their money into something a little more tangible, like real-world assets, precious metals, real estate. I mean, Trump sure has some pretty nice real estate holdings, doesn't he? Something you can hold in your hand, something that makes life better. Even the stock market, you know, S&P 500 companies that are based upon something like earnings and profits and fundamental valuations. And so when I talk about how crypto takes people's money away from places where it could do a little better for the world, let's say other than just eat up energy, which it requires to keep making these calculations for the blockchains. And so if we go to this Market Beat website, look at some of the S&P 500 stocks of, you know, some of the most successful businesses on the planet that produce actual real-world goods for consumers, right? So the market cap on some of these companies like General Motors, 59 billion market cap, right? Making cars to drive around in the real world. Target, $62 billion market cap. FedEx, they outcompete the United States Postal Service and deliver packages all around the world. But even FedEx had a smaller market cap than Trump's shitcoin that just materialized out of thin air overnight. Yeah, that's what people are pouring their money into, Donald Trump's shitcoin, rather than owning real stock in real-world companies that actually produce something, right? You know, and why do you think all of a sudden Donald Trump is so much into cryptocurrency? You know, like I said, going from someone who said he's not a fan of Bitcoin to apparently he saw the light, or the, you know, again, the dollar signs. This article from February 2024, Coinbase and Ripple made $100 million in political donations. Will it influence U.S. elections? We've seen the fruit of that already. But I just wanted to show you this quick graph here. This shows you just how much money from the crypto industry is being poured into our politics now. And you can see the orange is crypto corporations. These are in the hundreds of millions. In 2024, companies within the crypto industry have collectively spent around $119 million on political contributions, with almost all that spending going to crypto-focused super PACs, of which Fair Shake organization has been the primary funding recipient. And so this is going back from 2010, and all these others are just corporate contributions in general, right? But right around 2020, you start to see this little orange. 2022, and then all of a sudden in 2024, it says right down here, to put that level of spending in context, this has made the crypto industry as a whole this year's biggest corporate political spender, accounting for a substantiated 48% of corporate donations. What's more, looking at the numbers since 2010, when super PACs first became legally viable, following on from the Citizens United ruling of the Supreme Court, thanks Supreme Court, right? Screwing over the American people by giving corporations more control over our political process. The only sector to have outspent crypto is the fossil fuel industry, which has splashed over $176 million across the whole of this 14-year period. So yeah, it's a nice little visual. And of course you have, a little tweet from Eric Trump, excited to announce the launch of World LibertyFi. A new era in finance is here. Yeah, all the little grifters have to get their little cut, don't they? And the Trump family apparently is just has a knack for it. the apples don't fall too far from the rotten apple tree. And I thought this was just a thought-provoking article I wanted to skim through as fast as possible from The Conversation. So, not only has Trump called crypto the future of the global economy, this one titled, Trump's plans for a strategic Bitcoin reserve could trigger a crypto arms race and reshape the global economic order. This is from January 14th, 2025. Cryptocurrencies promise to be central to Donald Trump's economic policies in his second term as U.S. president. Arguably the most controversial proposal to create a strategic Bitcoin reserve, or SBR. This would involve the U.S. buying up large amounts of cryptocurrency over the coming years to hold as a reserve, similar to the country's strategic petroleum reserve. I'll skip down. However, there is potentially an even bigger idea in play. A significant shift in the global economic order, where new players and new forms of currency begin to take an ever larger role. The main advocate of the Bitcoin Reserve is Republican Senator Cynthia Lummis. And I just wonder, after looking at that last graph, how many campaign contributions has she had from the crypto industry, and how much is she personally sitting on? So she proposed that the U.S. acquires 200,000 Bitcoin a year for 5 years. That's misappropriation of taxpayer dollars, in my opinion, if you're going to buy imaginary digital monopoly money. And again, I always ask the question, it's the elephant in the room, who owns the majority stake in Bitcoin? When we know that a handful of digital wallets hold on to, last I checked, at least 96% of this supply. Who are these people that control Bitcoin? And why do we want to put our taxpayer dollars into something that's out of our hands, right? Going on. But a more likely first step would to designate the approximately 207,000 Bitcoin already held by the United States as a reserve to be held by the U.S. Treasury. Any additional large purchases of Bitcoin would require a law change and the assent of the U.S. Treasury, which is currently opposed. On the question of whether Trump can achieve this pledge, it is unclear whether a Bitcoin reserve at the federal level would have the votes to pass through the House of Representatives. However, there are 13 U.S. states that are actively considering or have proposed legislation to establish a Bitcoin reserve. Crazy. And again, during these House sessions, when these bills are being passed, are these questions going to be asked? Who controls Bitcoin? And skipping down, another popular argument is that the monetary value of a Bitcoin reserve could appreciate rapidly, hence pay down the U.S. national debt. This too is a largely theoretical and untested argument, and the precise mechanisms remain unclear. Kind of a pipe dream. Let's buy more fake money to pay off our national debt. On the other hand, some analysts are concerned that a Bitcoin reserve could undermine confidence in the dollar, leading to financial instability. If Bitcoin were widely adopted as a global reserve currency, for example, this might destabilize the dollar's position as the world's primary reserve currency. Of course, any such instability may be heightened by Bitcoin's historic price volatility. And it goes through all the different instances of where Bitcoin just caved, totally plummeted, and then of course bounced back and plummeted again, and then bounced back. And could you imagine what that would do to an economy if that was what you're basing your money on? Right? One day you can buy, a Ferrari, and the next day you can barely afford a Kia. Just as a hypothetical. And then I'm going to skip all the way down real quick because I know you guys don't have all night. So a crypto arms race. Reports that Trump has made crypto a priority signal the next step in this shift. The balance of power is moving away from states and towards companies that block hold cryptocurrencies, exchanges upon which cryptocurrencies are traded, and the owners of exchange-traded cryptocurrency funds. One of which is his name Michael Sawyer. Recently met with the president. Saylor. So there's Michael Saylor. Microfund Strategies, I think it's called, or something like that. Holds a ridiculous amount of Bitcoin. There he is, cuddling up to Eric Trump at Mar-a-Lago. Bitcoin is on the menu at Mar-a-Lago. Just kind of throwing it out there, throwing it in your face that, your presidents for sale to the highest bidder, of course. And again, Michael Soiler, I like that one better. It's one of these just grifters that are constantly on platforms like X, putting out this hype, trying to hype up his own investment. Yeah, so that's what this article is talking about, these different Bitcoin holding companies and funds going on. This could be a watershed moment if the US, another leading economic power like China, or a series of larger emerging economies like the rest of the BRICS become block holders of Bitcoin or other major cryptocurrencies. It could trigger the emergency of a cryptocurrency arms race on a global scale. This would see country after country rushing to bolster their reserves. There are already media reports that other nations like Japan, Russia, China are accumulating Bitcoin ahead of a possible Bitcoin reserve announcement by the US. And Trump has even indicated that he might repeal a controversial crypto accounting rule that would allow banks to hold more Bitcoin. These trends have the potential to reshape the global economic order by incorporating private money and the infrastructural power of private actors into a realm of traditionally dominated by leading states and their national currencies. Trump's ambitions for a Bitcoin reserve will undermine the growing role of private money in the world economy, but these shifts in the global order are already underway, regardless of whether the new president's plans for Bitcoin are realized. It just brings me back, back to the good old days, some of my early podcasts on Bitcoin. Remember this, guys? Remember this? Yeah, The Economist magazine, back in January 8th, 1988. They like to play with numbers. Again, those satanic elites. Get ready for a world currency. And again, The Economist magazine was owned by Evelyn D. Rothschild before he died. And they are notorious for putting predictions on the cover of their magazine. I just wanted to read a couple lines from this article real quick I thought were interesting, and this is how it starts. And keep in mind that 30 years from now it starts out with, that would have brought it to 2018 was when that first bubble, that's when I started getting involved back in the day when I used to trade Bitcoin and do a little day trading on other shitcoins on different sites like Binance. But 2018 is really where that first bubble caught the attention of the world when all the headlines were talking about Bitcoin and its ability to generate great returns, right?
At 1,400% to the upside this year alone, a meteoric rise. And by the way, for those of you who don't know, when it first started, I believe about in 2010, it was 28 cents, an incredible investment. But there's still this big question. There is a demand, but is there a need right now, Wolfgang?
And there absolutely is and will be. So what has actually done and what's going to happen is going to first come on the financial institutions and then the companies is that really transactions, if you're transferring from one bank to another, takes 2 days. Mm-hmm. What's going to happen with this digital currency, these things are going to be immediate. And what's going to happen for that is Treasury and Finance Department of corporations, whom I'm talking to on a daily basis, now even at CEOs levels who are really thinking about this and discussing it, certainly CFO levels, is that they're all saying, what do we need to do? And what they need to do is they need to get into the 21st century and have complete automation of these processes that are anything related to liquidity. It is absolutely impossible within the next 12 months for a corporation to sit there and say, I've got manual processes and Excel spreadsheets. It will be gone.
And that bubble, when I bought in at about 10,000, I think it was, got up to about 20,000, and then, yet again, it bursted. And that's kind of when I got out. So keep that in mind that 30 years from now, they're talking about in this article from 1988, 2018, Bitcoin really started to break the headlines and became an everyday phrase for most Americans, right? So the article starts out, 30 years from now, Americans, Japanese, Europeans, and people in many other rich countries, and some relatively poor ones, will probably be paying for their shopping with the same currency. Prices will be quoted not in dollars, yen, or D-marks, but in, let's say, the Phoenix. The Phoenix will be favored by companies and shoppers because it will be more convenient than today's national currencies, which by then will seem a quaint cause of much disruption to economic life in the last 20th century. And again, echoing kind of the wordage in the last article written more recently, This section is titled The New World Economy. And I thought this section was interesting. Along that trend is another of ever-expanding opportunities for international trade. This, too, is the gift of advancing technology. Falling transport costs will make it easier for countries thousands of miles apart to compete in each other's markets. The law of one price, that a good should cost the same everywhere, once prices are converted into a single currency, will increasingly assert itself. Politicians permitting, of course, right, all the ones paid off right now by the crypto industry. Politicians permitting, national economies will follow their financial markets, becoming ever more open to the outside world. This will apply to labor as much as to goods, partly through migration, it's a common theme lately, isn't it? But also through technology's ability to separate the worker from the point at which he delivers his labor. Indian computer operators will be processing New Yorkers' paychecks. There's those skilled Indian workers again, Elon Musk and Vivek were so fond of. All that H-1B visa controversy. In all these ways, national economic boundaries are slowly dissolving. As the trend continues, the appeal of a currency union across at least the main industrial countries will seem irresistible to everybody except foreign exchange traders and governments. In the Phoenix zone, economic adjustment to shifts in relative prices would happen smoothly and automatically, rather as it does today between different regions within large economies. The absence of all currency risk would spur trade, investment, and employment. The Phoenix zone, and they're talking about this theoretical, hypothetical currency, the Phoenix zone would impose tight constraints on national governments. There would be no such thing, for instance, as a national monetary policy. The world Phoenix supply would be fixed by a new central bank, descended perhaps from the IMF. The world inflation rate, and hence within narrow margins, each national inflation rate would be in its charge. And what strikes me with that paragraph is the Phoenix is envisioned as a currency with a fixed rate. And of course, that's one of the selling points for Bitcoin and other crypto, is that it has a fixed, finite supply. Each country could use taxes and public spending to offset temporary falls in demand, but it would have to borrow rather than print money to finance its budget deficit. With no recourse to the inflation tax, governments and their creditors would be forced to judge their borrowing and lending plans more carefully than they do today. This means a big loss of economic sovereignty, but the trends that make the Phoenix so appealing are taking that sovereignty away in any case. Wow. You're the globalist think tank of The Economist magazine, owned by the Rothschilds. Again, just kind of thumbing their nose at the idea of national sovereignty and saying, yeah, you'll have a big loss of economic sovereignty, but the trends that make the Phoenix, let's just supplement the Bitcoin, so appealing are taking that sovereignty away in any case. So you really don't have a choice, do you? Even in a world of more or less floating exchange rates, individual governments have seen their policy independence checked by an unfriendly outside world. As the next century approaches, the natural forces that are pushing the world towards economic integration will offer governments a broad choice. They can go with the flow, or they can build barricades.
But my fear is that this regulatory state, it's going to crack down on an industry that the regulators really don't understand yet, and it's going to force the next generation of financial tech to be created outside of our country. Well, we can't let that happen. Where do companies draw the line and say that enough is enough with this anti-innovation, quote, regulation by enforcement, and then just decide to take their industry elsewhere to another country? Where's the line?
One of the things that makes crypto risky is that consumers may not understand the difference between one token and another token, and so they may want to diversify, much as I own an S&P 500 mutual fund. We don't allow that in the United States. We do allow it in Canada. We allow it in Germany, Singapore, Portugal, and a number of other places. So if you're a developer of those products, there's no fuzzy line. It's super clear. You can't do that here, so you have to go abroad. Okay. There are some other places.
Could you say why we can't do that here?
Sure. It's because the Securities and Exchange Commission has consistently refused to approve products that other G20 nations have approved.
So we're behind the curve?
unquestionably.
Paving the way for the Phoenix will mean fewer pretended agreements on policy and more real ones. It will mean allowing and then actively promoting the private sector use of an international money alongside existing national currencies. That's interesting. What did it say? Private sector? What did that last article say about the private sector? There it is. I didn't even read this part earlier, but I thought it applied. It just kind of stuck with me, and I just remembered it after reading that little passage from the Economist magazine. The second trend has been the decentralization of the financial system and the rise of private money, particularly in response to the global financial crisis of 2007 and 2008. Private money refers to any token used as money that is not backed or controlled by a sovereign or central bank. In this sense, cryptocurrencies, which operate independently of traditional central bank and treasury money supply mechanisms, are the archetypal private money. And it said again down here, these trends have the potential to reshape the global economic order by incorporating private money and the infrastructural power of private actors into a realm traditionally dominated by leading states and their national currencies. It's almost like we have the same person writing this article as the one who wrote this article back in 1988 for the Rothschilds. I'll read that again. It will mean allowing and then actively promoting the private sector use of an international money alongside existing national monies that would let people vote with their wallets. Human nature dictates that people will literally pay for their own destruction if it's profitable in the short term. For the eventual move to full currency union, the Phoenix, or the Bitcoin, would probably start as a cocktail of national currencies, just as the special drawing right is today. Or shitcoins, shall we call them? Kind of like Trump's meme coin. In time, though, its value against the national currencies would cease to matter because people would choose it for its convenience and the stability of its purchasing power. Again, you have this concept in crypto of a finite supply, right? Like with Bitcoin, I think it's 21 million total Bitcoin that can ever be mined. There's a finite supply, so it ends up being deflationary. So the more fiat money that you dump into it, fiat that is constantly being printed and devalued. We've seen those graphs of how much the dollar has been devalued over the last several decades. Our spending power is constantly being depleted. And as Ron Paul calls it, a tax on the poor, inflation, because the people that are really hurt with the rising grocery prices right now, let's say like a carton of eggs for $8, are the people that have to count every dollar, right? The wage slaves, basically. People that rely on that weekly paycheck just to pay their bills and feed themselves and their families. And then it ends with listing all the virtues of this new global one world currency. The alternative to preserve policymaking autonomy would involve a new proliferation of truly draconian controls on trade and capital flows. I wonder if that's kind of the left-right paradigm, the controlled opposition dialectic that Trump is playing right now with his tariffs. Make a really bad example that we have to swing back to the other extreme and find a solution. This course offers governments a splendid time. They could manage exchange rate movements, deploy monetary and fiscal policy without inhibition, and tackle the resulting burst of inflation with prices and incomes policies. It is a growth-crippling prospect. Pencil in the Phoenix for around 2018 and welcome it when it comes. Yeah, sounds a little bit like a prophecy, doesn't it? They're foretelling the future with uncanny accuracy, in my opinion, because yet again, we have the Phoenix rising, interestingly enough, with a fleur-de-lis symbol or crown on its head, kind of a symbol related to Rome, and that perfect little golden coin that Bitcoin is often pictured as. The irony of a digital currency that has to picture itself as a real currency, like a gold coin, right? Of course, you see that Phoenix standing on all those burning fiat paper currencies, and that is how crypto is designed to grow itself in value as it sucks in all the fiat of the world. And eventually, as I see it, fiat money is going to be worthless if we go to a Bitcoin reserve and the government more and more begins to use cryptocurrency. When they go from an inflationary model to a deflationary model, nobody's going to want to be stuck holding the bags of fiat, right? When you might as well use it for kindling to stay warm. So another reason why I see cryptocurrency as increasingly being marketed to the masses, especially the groups of people who should know better, right? Like quote-unquote Christian conservatives who would naturally be leery of having their financial lives sucked into this digital gulag with programmable money governed by algorithms, which will one day be used to decide what you can and cannot do with your own money, based in part on your online behavior. Social credit score systems like what has already been given a trial run on the Chinese population, something that should raise alarm bells to any Christian who has ever opened their Bibles up to the passages in the book of Revelation that refer to the beast or government that will one day enforce a death decree, which involves controlling people's ability to buy and sell, based upon ultimately who or what they choose to worship. God who created all things, or in this case, mammon or money. And from the book of Revelation, chapter 13, verses 15 through 7, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image to the beast should be killed. And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. You see, right now, Trump is inviting all of his supporters to jump on board his little gravy train. And sure, over the next 4 years of pumping, it might make some investors a great deal of money. But think of what effect it might have on buying the silence of people who should otherwise know better, who should be sounding the alarm of the dangers of switching over to a one-world currency, a cashless society. Just as Satan tempted Jesus in the desert with all the kingdoms of this world, if he only bowed down and worshipped him, fallen false god of this world. And again, how hard is it to buy politicians in a society that worships money when you control the money supply? Anyway, thanks everybody for listening. Hopefully that spurred some thought in all your minds out there. Hopefully it quickens your spirit and makes you realize just how little time we have left until the last page of prophecy is fulfilled. Until next time, this is Nightwatch N8, signing out.